when we're dealing with curses, they not only show up in actions, they show up in our belief system, our attitudes, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you do things. You hear people say things like, "You act just like your daddy." Sometimes that's a compliment and sometimes it's not, right? More often than not, it's not meant as a compliment. And so I'm speaking, the example I gave was the actions of drinking the alcohol, right? But the attitude someone has, if they have a pauper mindset, a poverty mindset, and a woe is me, and they're always what I call a negative Nelly, like everything, a pessimist, is that the term? I think that's one of the terms they say. And if that's the case, then everybody's out to get them. Everything is bad and negative and horrible, and life is just crummy. And they teach that, right? They're teaching that to their children and the people that they're around. So those type of people actually get on my nerves, and I choose to not be around them a whole lot. I'm a positive Polly kind of gal. My glass is always going to be half full, not half empty. So the type of evaluation that we're going to do today, I would compare it to when you go to the doctor's office, especially a new doctor, right? And or you're going for a very specific issue. They say, well, what's your family history? Does XYZ run in your family? Even in the natural, Christian doctors are not. They know that things are hereditary. They know that things that have affected our ancestors are likely to affect us. So they ask about cancers. They ask, and they ask for both sides, right? And if so, was it, which side of the family is it on, right? Depending on if you're, depending on your background. I know that my husband being Mexican, there are things that run in that bloodline that don't in my bloodline, and vice versa. And so they ask these questions, right? And I remember doing some paperwork for my children, and they explained the reason they needed to know was because of their dad being Mexican, that opened them up to another option of possible issues. You know, I take no claim to any of that. But what I had to understand was different culture, different makeup, different everything. You hear, depending on where you're from, right, your environment. I remember even going to Kenya, that there's things that are an issue to them, or for me, that aren't an issue to them. That's their water, their food. Things aren't going to make them sick like they may me, because their makeup is different, right? I remember the first time I was going to Mexico, everybody was like, "Don't drink the water, you know, it's going to make you sick, da 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 da." Well, that highly offended my husband. He was like, "I drank the water my entire life. It's, you know, not going to be an issue." And I can honestly say, for my first trip, I fed into everything they said. Like, okay, we got to put this in the water. You can't drink the water. You can't do anything. And the comical thing was one day, somebody was like, "You know, you have ice in your drink, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." Well, you've been sitting there eating this ice, and what was it made of? It's made from the water, and I was absolutely fine, right? Some things don't affect us, but some things affect us simply because of who we are, where we're from, and who we're connected to.